Here's the little trail that we've driven down, which is part of the original Pony Express route and the stage route. You can see just on the other side is the main road that we will be traversing down, continuing our way eastward bound. But we stopped at this site because there is quite an interesting story with this marker.
Yeah, this is Burnt Canyon, or Blood Canyon as well. And the reason why they named it that was in 1863, which was a couple of years after the Pony Express ceased, the stagecoach stop, which was the same stop, got pillaged and burnt by Indians. 5 employees and 2 soldiers were killed, hence the name Blood Canyon, or Burnt Canyon. And here's the marker.
After the first station was pillaged and burnt down by Indians, a second one was built just west of this monument. It did consist of a log house, adjoining stables, and a dugout where meals were cooked and served.
So archaeologists believe that this is the site of another Pony Express station. They found this fortified circle of rocks complete with gun ports. And they also found remnants of a corral and other foundations. So it's pretty neat though. So it makes you wonder whether or not this was where an army post was at one point, because of the gun ports, to keep the Native Americans at bay. Because this was a stagecoach stop and then a Pony Express stop, they believe.
As you can see here, this used to be 6 Mile Station, though there is no marker here.
It was also called Willow Creek. Now there was a cabin, the springs and the connecting roads, they've all been surveyed, and a gentleman by the name of Pete Joesph built and lived in a log cabin, which the historians believe was used as a station house.
Look at the scenery. It is just absolutely stunning.
And now, private property.
The other thing that I find absolutely bizarre, especially since we crossed over into Utah from Nevada, we have not seen one Mormon cricket.
They stopped at the border.
It's just, it's weird.
Oh, we're coming up to the next Pony Express stop up here.
All right. At sunup, came to Willow Springs and camped. This is an extensive valley. The springs are deep holes, just like wells. Some are so deep that they cannot find the bottom.
Now, we've been fortunate enough to have been invited onto the Bagley Ranch, where the original Pony Express station is. So let's take a look. So when I was doing the research for the history of this particular station, it said that there's a lot of discrepancies because they don't know where the exact Pony Express station is, and they believed it was on the Bagley Ranch. And we're here in the Bagley Ranch. Yay! So this is what we have come to see.
Man, would you look at this? Just the old wood cladding on here.
Now, there used to be another building here, Miss Bagley was telling me, but her great-grandpa or her grandpa took it down. But this was the old Pony Express. And have you seen this? They've even found a square nail, bit of crockery, and
a horseshoe.
A horseshoe. And they found that when they dug this up to put this marker in.
Which is the original alignment section.
Yeah.
That is just amazing, this history. Imagine how much else is throughout here.
Look at that tree.
Oh, the trees are...
And this is an old willow. Great for climbing on. Isn't this beautiful?
That is a wonderful tree.
Saying that all the kids play on it and climb in it and read in it. This is amazing. And this was here at the time of the Express, I believe.
Yeah.
Now the porch, that was an addition. Her grandfather built that. So this didn't exist in the Pony Express days.
Okay.
And I believe in 1926, which is when this was built, the porch, this is her grandmother's, the date, and her grandmother's footprint.
That is really cool.
Let's take a look inside.
What an amazing piece of history to have.
This was a newer addition that the grandpa built, and this is the original Pony Express station.
Oh, wow.
So prior to that, it was Overland Stagecoach Station, and later, or actually in '61, it was the telegraph station as well.
There's just so many, all the items in the old refrigerator.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Got the old floorboards, the old lino.
Oh, man.
And the old bed frame. Hello, darling. And a puppy. Oh, would you look at the ice skates? I mean, they're for a young'un.
Yeah.
And a
old bedpan.
Bedpan. And she was saying that the little stool, the little chair, they used to use that and then they brought it in. And her grandmother every year used to clean the windows and put new curtains, used to hand make the curtains and put new curtains in every single year.
Yeah.
And as a child, she also remembers being hauled around on the sled. That's pretty neat.
All of this is just Incredible. All the little artifacts, the history.
And everything is original to the place and found on the property, or artifacts that the Bagleys first brought with them when they bought the place. And I believe it was in 1889 her great-great-great-grandfather bought the place. And you've got all these photographs.
In 1935, my dad was 13. He's the one in the cute little floppy hat here. They did the 75th. His horse turned up lame, and he was breaking his sister's horse, and so he made the best time between stations with his Greenbroke sister's horse. They let him ride between stations on the 75th.
Now this photograph here, it says the Pony Express riders and others at Willow Spring Station.
Yeah.
So this was a rerun in 1935. So I take it all of these, if they were the real Pony Express riders.
Well, there was some dressing up like Indians.
Yeah.
And so I think there was 6 of them. My dad and a couple of the friends.
So they were doing like a...
They were going from station to station
like they used to.
Like they used to. Then on the 100th, they just had horse riding clubs do it. This is my dad here. And then on the 125th, they had organized the National Pony Express Association. And then they started doing it every year, either east to west or west to east.
An old mincer, food mincer. Look at the old stove.
Oh, that is
You know what I'm
incredible.
like with stoves. That is amazing. So this was a newer addition. And this is a Pony Express saddle. And they had room for 2 pistols and a rifle. And this is one of the original saddles. It's wood. It doesn't look very comfortable. Pretty neat though, eh?
Incredible. I mean, the structure, everything, the pieces that are in here is remarkable. You got like some burlap sacks and things, and just all these pieces of the farm that great-great-grandfather all the way up. It's just amazing.
Pretty impressive. And did you know also that there were about 500 ponies that were bought for the Pony Express and 80 riders?
Wow.
And this over here is, or was, the ice house. Now, I don't know if you can see over there yonder where the cows are. Behind that was where they used to get the ice from. There was a pond, and they would bring their ice up and they would put it in here, and it would last them throughout right up until August. And Miss Bagley was saying to me that her grandfather remembers having homemade ice cream from the ice on his birthday in August. So that kept the ice closed. That kept the ice cold all those months.
That is cool. And also, an interesting story is this white building here before us was actually barracks at Dugway, which is now the Dugway Proving Grounds. So it was brought out here to the farm. Incredible. There we are. The last thing. The little cold storage. I have to duck down quite low to take a peek inside.
So this is Boyd Station, and it wasn't originally on the 1861 mail contract, but this stone structure also has gun ports in it. Let's take a look.
You can see some of the old reinforcing steel sticking out now. And unfortunately, walking around the structure, hello Tonto, due to degradation, not really finding where the gun ports would have been, but still fascinating to see the construction.
Yeah, it was built and named after George Washington Boyd in about 1855. He died in 1903, but a relative called Bid Boyd became the station master, and he stayed here until the 1900s. Now, also a well was dug nearby, but the water was so salty that it wasn't good enough to drink, so they used to cure their meats with it. And then there's another well a little bit further away, or not a well, a spring, and it's called Poison Spring because they found so many dead animal bones there.
Oh wow. And there looks to be a storm on the horizon. Welcome to Wilson Hot Springs, and a bus that should not have come down here.
Yeah, got stuck on the salt flats.
Pretty neat sight to see though.
I wonder how long it's been here.
I don't know what year that is.
Don't know, but somebody has set fire to it.
Of course.
Hooligans.
But again, it does, especially in this setting, the moodiness of the sky, it does have that post-apocalyptic look.
So these hot springs are hot. You don't want to go swimming or bathing in them. There's warning signs everywhere, and the surface is so fragile because we're walking on the salt flats, which is why we left Tonto. I was checking the path to make sure we wouldn't sink in, but you can see tire prints and
Where people have tried to get through and gotten incredibly stuck. But
so I believe, looking, I mean, all of this is, but I believe the main source is up there, which we can't get to because the water, the surface is so, what's the word?
yeah, it's fragile, ready to break, and like we mentioned, the water is absolutely scalding.
Now, Beth Anderson, who is the owner of the Bagley Ranch that we've just been to, she remembers coming here with her granddad as a kid, and she said her granddad literally just put his foot in the water, pulled it out, and it was covered in blisters where it had just severely burnt him. So a big no-no.
Yeah. See, this is what happens when you think you can keep going, when you really should have turned around. All right, we ventured out a little ways and have found one of the hot springs.
But I wouldn't fancy a dip in it. Not if you look at all the sludge that you have to walk through. and this is just deep mud
Yeah.
leading to a hot spring.
This wood is rotting away pretty severely. So, guess we
Back to Tonto.
venture on. So we are just outside of Hot Springs Cave, which was placed on the National Historic Register of Places in 1981. So they believe that when Lake Bonneville started to evaporate around 11,000 years ago, that hunter-gatherers would live in this cave and kind of hunt the area because there was plentiful things to hunt for in the marsh environment, which is pretty neat.
They also found, the archaeologists found botanical and bone fragments in the cave, which is why they know that people lived in the cave. And if you look through, we can see there's been fire. Whether or not that was in later years, who knows? But the cave actually drops away in the back. I can't see how far it goes.
Yeah, it goes back there.
Yeah, it goes way back, actually.
Let me try to get over.
So that's pretty neat though, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a nice unexpected find.
We saw the back bars and we thought it was a mine, and we thought, oh, let's take a look. And to our surprise,
It was this.
it was this. Yeah, true
And there-
story.
And there you can kind of, it's difficult to see because of the lighting, but there's a burn marks up in there. And that is the beautiful view.
Kind of looks like an ocean, doesn't it?
Yeah. Not too much further down the road from the cave we just looked at another station.
Yeah, now this station, Fish Springs, is about halfway between Rush Valley and Deep Creek, so it was a really prominent stop back in the day. And they did change routes here at one point, and a route was established across the flats.
So just beyond the marker, down there in the flats, those large trees, they do believe that could have possibly been the location.
Yeah, there was a thatched roofed shed on the site in 1859, but because of all the development, they don't know the true location.
Yeah.
And now it's time to find a campsite because it's getting late. What do you think?
Yeah, I would concur. It's been a long, dusty day.
Let's go.
Where are we going?
Just follow the road. We'll just find somewhere when we see something, I guess.
All right. So this here is Black Rock Station, which also was known as Butte or Desert Station, but it did originally get its name because of the black basalt rock. Now this station here wasn't under contract, so there isn't a lot that is still known about it, but apparently there was a building that was built out of the dark rock just north of that outcrop there. And the travelers would use this route when the weather was bad. All right, we have made it to the Dugway Station, which, if that sounds familiar, yes, we are on the edge of the Dugway Proving Grounds. Just out over this direction. And you can see Tonto way back in the distance. We had to park him because this dirt is a little too soft and the rut's a little too deep.
Now the thing about Dugway Station was water. There wasn't any. 3 wells were dug, one over 120 feet. They still couldn't find water, so water had to be brought in from Simpson Springs, which is about 20 miles away back in the day. But there are ruins of some buildings here, and it was called Dugway. In 1860, a settler placed over a dugout, he had like an adobe chimney. Mm-hmm. And it was later used as a halfway stop for the stage company.
Yeah.
Although there are slight discrepancies of the exact location.
As usual.
Mm-hmm.
But it is eerily quiet out here.
And beautiful.
And we have yet to find a suitable campsite. So we are going to continue on to Simpson Springs. Apparently there's some good spaces there. So
we've got one more stop to do, Riverbed, and then we'll head to Simpson Springs to bed down for the night.
yeah, it's been a long day. All right, last stop of the evening. We are at the Riverbed Station, which you may be able to make out in the distance. Whoops, to our left, bank of a riverbed. Over to the right, the other bank. So this was a very large ancient river.
Yeah, it was the Sevier, spelled S-E-V-I-E-R, Sevier River, and it dried naturally through evaporation, but it's an ancient riverbed. So this Pony Express station isn't mentioned in the mail contracts. However, they did find lots and lots of structures which they believed to be that of the stagecoach line, and as we know, the Pony Express did share a lot of those stops with the stagecoach. Unfortunately, massive flood went through, flash flood, washed away all the buildings that did remain that the archaeologists had discovered. You can see a Pony Express marker down there.
Yep.
Which was the original riding route.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
It is. It's Utah is one of those states that has just this incredible amount of beauty around it. And very interesting history as well. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We're absolutely exhausted. We found a suitable campsite up in the mountains. And it's time to call it a night. I'm done. I'm exhausted.
I've got to cook dinner.
And we gotta upload all of these clips to our backup.
And set up camp.
Yeah.
So with that, we will see you in the morning.